The art of networking for growing your chiropractic practice. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Perusich, and I'm joined by my co-host, Marisa Mateja. I want to give a quick shout out to our two sponsors for this show as well before we jump in here, Marisa. First, Cats Consultants, of course.
Of
So go
course.
check us out at catsconsultants.com, but also Chiro Health USA. And if you're not familiar with Chiro Health USA, they are helping doctors enjoy more compliance, more peace of mind in their practice, and creating simpler financial options for their patients to help with the rising cost of healthcare. Now, here's a cool thing about Chiro Health USA. Not only are they helping doctors, but they give back to the profession. And I noticed the other day that they've given nearly $3.5 million back to the profession. If that's not a reason to pay attention to what they're doing and be a part of their program, that's a huge reason right there. So anyway,
Absolutely.
all right. The art of networking. Now, really, can networking really help build your practice, Marissa?
Well, of course it
I, s-
can.
I say facetiously.
Right. Absolutely it can. We've seen that firsthand, over the years, how
Right.
it works, how it helps. It's amazing the little bits of networking that you can do that all of a sudden you meet somebody who you weren't expecting it, but sends you 10, 15 people into your door. So pay attention out there of who you're chatting with. You never know who's going to be a referral source.
Boy, you just hit the nail on the head. So, if we were to really define what networking is, it's interacting appropriately with everybody you meet. It's not just going to the Kiwanis Club or the BNI. Those aren't the only places you network. I mean, my gosh, I over the years, I think I got more patients just talking to people that worked at Walmart,
Right?
and are they big influencers? No, not in the traditional sense, but are they big influencers for your practice? Yeah, they can be.
Yeah. And you just used a word that I feel like we should touch on, and that is influencers. And
Right.
we see that word thrown around a lot in marketing nowadays, right? That you see businesses out there, it doesn't matter what social media platform you're on, they have people that are networking, they have people that are telling you all about their product for them. So they have a proxy, if you will. They have somebody in front of their business
Yeah, good one.
doing that networking for them. And so we see that a lot on social media, right? There's brand influencers and all these things that people, just normal people, have started recording videos of them purchasing products and talking about the products and just giving a little review of the product and giving you a link that obviously gives them a kickback or something like that, right? But the same thing happens in our practice. If we build our practice correctly, if we spend the time to really talk to the people that are coming in, that we interact with, that we see, no matter whether it's in our office or in the public, then they can become our proxies. They can be out there talking to other people for us and sending people into us. So it's a matter of really thinking of every person you interact as an influencer for your practice.
Right. So true. So when I first went into practice, I taught for a while I was building the practice. I also taught at the local junior college, community college. Is it junior college or community college? It's community, right? And it's funny, one of the people that sent me so many patients, and she actually didn't come in all that often herself, but she really got the word out on campus about my practice way more than I did. And honestly, I think she only came in twice a year. When I say that, you're going to know exactly who I'm talking about.
I do know who it is.
But over the years, she referred so many people to the practice. It was crazy. So you never know who's going to catch the wave of what you're doing, so to speak, and be that influencer for your practice. So networking is about going out and meeting people and being genuine with people and letting people get to know who you are.
Yeah.
Because networking is that initial stage of building relationships in your community.
And, I think that scares some people. I think that is intimidating, but the reality is it doesn't have to be. It
It
doesn't
doesn't have to
have to
be.
be. Make it a conversation and keep in mind, the conversation that you have with people can be anything, right? It doesn't have to
Right.
be about chiropractic. you could be learning about them and what they do. And there's so many different ways to start that conversation. And I think that sometimes is intimidating to people is
Mhm.
how do you start that conversation? And, I don't know about you, but I always look for something that connects me to that person. So how do you connect? And so think about the patients that are coming in your door and how do you connect to them? If you think about your staff, and this is something you should absolutely share with them, is how did they connect with your patients? Are they both grandmas? Are they both their kids are both on the same soccer team? There's connections everywhere you look. And that it's just a matter of uncovering those. And I think there's ways in your practice to do that very simply just by paying attention to paperwork.
Excuse me. Yeah. And you just made me think of this. One of the big misconceptions about networking is that you have to join groups. You have to pay money and go join a group.
Right.
And the minute you join, you've got to make sure that you've got your big 5 or 10 minute elevator speech ready to go. And then once you deliver that, as long as you don't, sweat yourself into a pool of water on the floor, basically, that you're going to start getting all these patients. That is not how it works.
Right.
It's about going out and connecting with people and finding those common grounds. And how do you find that? I'm gonna give you the biggest tip ever for networking. The biggest tip
What is
ever.
it? What is
Y-
it? Tell us.
you're gonna want to write this down. It's 2 words. Okay, you ready? They're really really big words too. So get ready to write this down. Ask questions.
And you've heard me say this to staff many times is always ask as many questions as you can. Get that
Always
person talking, get them telling us things. The more we
about them.
know about them, that's right. The more we know about them, the better we can help them. You'd be amazed at what you uncover just by chatting with somebody. And a caveat to networking is also trying to find those people that are still coming into your practice, but maybe have new conditions. And part of that is staying in tune with them to make sure that you're really ready when they need you. You're able to help them with other conditions. You're able to listen to what they're telling you. And staff were a huge part of that.
Huge part. Huge. In fact, you as staff get to really interact with patients more than we do
Yeah,
as doctors. Patients are funny. And doctors, I think you know this, but they don't really open up to us nearly as much as they open up to staff. So staff can really help drive that interaction. So if you're going out in the community and doing something, take your staff with you. Take your
absolutely.
staff with you. We used to always, from time to time, we'd go out to lunch as staff and we'd have our scrubs on. And I'm not saying you have to wear scrubs, but the whole point of it was we all had the clinic logo and everybody knew exactly who we were.
Yeah, we matched in a way that connected us, and then it was easy for if we saw patients that knew us or if we saw other people that maybe weren't patients but knew us individually, there was ways to connect with them because they saw us, they wanted to say hi, you're in a big group. It's just fun, it
It is
and
fun.
everything that you do should be about enjoying it and bringing people into your practice that want to have fun, smile, laugh with you, all of those kind of things. So part of networking is definitely being seen for
Right.
sure.
And I'm going to touch on this and then we can come back to it. But one of the big mistakes that I see a lot of doctors make is they think they have to go out and educate everybody about chiropractic and
Yeah,
about the subluxation and about the philosophy of chiropractic. And I'm not saying don't talk about those kind of things.
right. Mhm.
But what you have to understand is the way you connect to people is to, like you said, getting them talking about themselves, finding common ground, and then your job as doctor, your job as a clinic is to be the problem solver.
Yeah,
They have problems. They want you to solve them. They don't care how you solve it as long as you solve it. I mean, sure, explain a bit about what chiropractic is about and explain chiropractic however you want, but it doesn't have to be this big, lavish 45-minute conversation about chiropractic. It needs to be a lavish conversation about what their issues are.
you touched on something there. The conversation, and this is outside the clinic when you're meeting
Right.
people. really listen to what's going on with them as they're telling you things. That's how you connect.
Yep.
Oh, did you know that I was a chiropractor? Oh, I help with those kind of things. Get them talking first and ask questions and then tell later. And it'll be amazing the response that you get because you connect with them as a human first,
Mhm.
not as the doctor first. And then all of a sudden you break down some walls because there is a little bit of psychology involved there, right? I mean, there are that what is the term? White coat syndrome, right? That patients have when they're around a doctor. And
Right.
so if you break that down and you eliminate that and you're just a human talking to another human and enjoying a conversation, they're going to connect with you and they're going to want to spend time with you in your practice and come see what you have to do well before knowing that you're a physician.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about some different strategies of networking and where you can effectively go and network. One place that I think a lot of us kind of shy away from is other healthcare providers. And you mentioned this earlier. Some people think networking is kind of scary at times. Yeah, especially if you're going to go talk to an orthopedic surgeon or somebody like that, it can be intimidating. I don't know that it's scary. It can be intimidating
Sure.
because our fear is they're going to ask us something that we don't know. Well, you guys, I'm here to tell you, your education, you probably know more about overall health and wellness and physiology and neurology and anatomy than they do.
Yeah. They
They
get
know.
so much of that pharmaceutical side, right? Mhm.
Right, and
Yeah,
they practice in a much tighter scope than you realize. So, don't be afraid to go out and talk to them.
yeah,
Some of our best referral sources were orthopedic surgeons,
yeah.
were dentists. Think about the connection there. Where's the jaw? Where's the mandible? Where does it sit in relation to the cervical spine? They get it. Here's the thing you have to remember if you're gonna network with professionals, which I think is a great thing to do,
Yeah,
is they don't know what you do. They don't know
absolutely.
what you do. So
Because they
go in and
probably shied away from chiropractors throughout their career,
yeah,
unless they
because
saw you before they started
right.
into school. But so there's an opportunity there to allow them to see that you have a big scope of knowledge.
And that's the number one thing I have found with other healthcare providers is they just don't know what we do, so they
Yeah,
don't know how to refer to us. So when they
exactly.
understand where you fall in the regimen of the healthcare totem pole, so to speak, then they'll happily refer to you if they just understand what cases and conditions to refer to you.
Mhm.
We had referrals from Medicare, medical professionals all the time,
Yeah.
and had a great working relationship with the hospital community
Mhm.
and so forth. So don't be afraid of networking in that environment.
Absolutely. And great places to find people are you mentioned earlier those groups like BNI or those Kiwanis groups or different groups in town that have the speaking engagements. Your chamber's a great place. All of those places are excellent networking places.
They
But
are.
remember to not go in with the idea that you're there to spew chiropractic knowledge. You're there to meet people and connect with them. And I
And
think
find
that's
out
one
about
of
them.
the yeah, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions of networking that we all fall down on, and it doesn't matter if we're chiropractors or professionals, attorneys, whatever it is, right?
Right.
I think everybody tends to do that because all we wanna do is say, "Here's what we do. Who can you send us?" Right? Instead of flipping the script and saying, "Hey, I wanna get to know you and what your business does and how I would be able to refer to you." If you switch that script, all of a sudden, it's not as intimidating for either one of you.
That's exactly right. And you'd be shocked at how quickly you will get to know somebody by doing it that way. And we can talk more about that in a minute. I want to talk about social media because everybody brings up social media and I think social media for the most part is a great way for people to see your personality
Yeah, especially if you're doing video.
doing video.
Something that is also scary to some is putting yourself in front of a video camera and recording. What I would suggest is don't go live, record it. You can edit, you can cut, you can delete and start over.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You always made me go live. You mean there's a way that you don't have to go live?
No, you can do these
I'm just
things
kidding.
if you're scared of what's going to come out, if you're unprepared. Maybe you have a script, but you don't want to sound like you have a script and you want to practice it a little bit so it comes across a little more naturally. Excellent. Record yourself. And I highly recommend doing that. It's a great exercise regardless because it also helps you in front of patients. It helps you when you're out in the community or wherever, but it also helps you communicate with patients that are coming into your practice. So record yourself, whether it be for how you're going to talk to someone about what their condition is or whatever. Record yourself. You will learn more about yourself doing that than you can believe. It'll just be a great exercise for you to do.
And we see so many doctors, at least in my opinion, using social media incorrectly.
Yeah,
They're trying to entice patients to come in for a cheap deal.
right.
For $9, you get a chiropractic adjustment, an evaluation, x-rays, a massage, an adjustment, some therapy. N- No, no, you don't have to entice people. How about just talking about some conditions? I think social media is just a great place to put your chiropractic education out there
Yeah.
and educate people about what chiropractors do. For example, hey, I've been seeing a lot of headaches in my clinic lately. So a lot of people don't know that chiropractic care is great for headaches. So if you're suffering from headaches, give my clinic a call. I'd love to talk to you about how chiropractic care might be able to help.
Yeah.
Just something simple like that.
Yeah, and you can have
You're
fun with it.
welcome, everybody.
I have we have some clients that just have an absolute ball with their marketing.
Yeah.
They dress up as a spine, they have a skeleton next to them. They do all these little fun things that just helps with the visuals of what they're talking about, what they're explaining, and they're a hoot. I mean, they just have a great time, and when I look at that
Yep.
practice, I always think, "Wow, they are a fun place to be." They are engaging, they're educational, they understand the body and what's going on, and I think that they could probably help almost anybody in their community. And so
Yep.
when you're watching those kind of things, keep in mind, what are the things you can do? And if you don't know or if it scares you, go watch some other chiropractic clinics. Go look at their social media and see what they're doing. Look for those that stand out and really have a good time doing it because
Yeah.
that's gonna be part of that networking in a not on a personal level, but it's gonna be that overview networking is what I would call it because you're putting stuff out there to really connect with people on social media and have them see you.
Yeah. Social media is just a great place to be educative. It's a place to be fun. Just be tasteful in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Don't denigrate what chiropractic is all about. Don't denigrate yourself. Don't just be smart.
Yeah, be smart.
Be smart. Okay, everybody, we need to take a quick break for a message from our sponsors. We will be right back.
So we all feel it. Rent or dining out, gasoline or movies. As a matter of fact, the dollar is not going as far for a whole host of reasons, and it's impacting everybody regardless of your financial situation. Did you know that 38% of the overall population is having to reconsider how they're spending their money just to afford the health care they need? And if you break it down further, 26% have actually delayed the health care that they need, including going to see you, the chiropractor. So here's what we need to know about the breakdown in demographics. You would think that someone who's making $120,000 or more would be continuing their care right now, but the actual number is 18%. 18% of that group is actually putting off health care, and that's a group of people making six figures. When you take that same information all the way down to a group making 40,000, that number is much higher. It's closer to 40%. So it's never been more important than now to make sure you've made it easy for your patients to come see you, that you have choices for them, and you understand what they're going through at home. We want to make sure your practice thrives during this time, and we encourage you to learn about what ChiroHealth USA can do for you and your practice, and making it easy for patients to see you and continue care.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by CATS Consultants and Chiro Health USA. Marisa, we're talking about how to grow your chiropractic business through proper networking. And this is
Yeah,
just a great subject.
it is. And you were really good. And I'd love for you to talk about this for a second. You were really good about in our community networking with the right people. And what I mean by that is the movers and the shakers or the influencers in the community, right?
Right.
You were really good at identifying those people and being in the right place at the right time, whether that be at church, whether that be in the community doing talks, whether that's being involved on in town or coaching a soccer team, whatever it is, right?
Right.
There's 100 different ways that you can connect with your community. But then once you did that, you were really good at identifying people that you wanted to get to know more and you knew what they were doing in the community.
Yeah. So it was a couple of things, really. First off, I found some things that I could be really involved in.
Mhm.
Church, if you go to church, church is a great place to be really involved. Most churches are always looking for volunteers for something. So it started out, I was a door greeter.
Mhm.
And then an, an, a position opened up in the praise band at church. And somebody had found out that I play an instrument. And I got invited to try out for the praise band. And so I started being in the praise band, which was a position where everybody in church then knew who I was.
Yeah,
We
you were on stage, you
I
were
was literally
visible.
on stage. Yeah, I was literally on stage. And I was doing something that was out of character somewhat for a doctor. So it showed my personality a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so it was very common after church that people would just walk up to me and say, "Hey, doc, you got a second? I've got this going on." Or, "Hey, doc, I saw you up on stage tonight. Music was great. Would you come speak to this group that I belong to? Would you come speak to the HR Managers Association," or whatever it was? And I would start getting all these little opportunities, not really laid at my feet because I'd put in the work up front a little bit just by meeting people so much.
Yeah.
So that was one place. Then I used to go to the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, and one other one. It wasn't the Optimist, but it was, I would go and I would pay attention to who was there. Who's the president? Why are they the president? How'd they get to be the president? And I would go up and literally ask, "How'd you become president?"
Yeah.
And invariably they would say one thing to me. They'd tell me how, but then they'd say, "Are you interested in being on the board?" Yeah, because that's how you get to know people.
Yeah.
The other thing I would do is I would volunteer back to the community, the civic groups. I would also pay attention to the speakers.
Mhm.
And when the speakers would get done speaking, provided I felt like they were an influence that somebody that could be an influencer for my practice, I would go up and I would say something very simple to them. Not, "Hey, I'm the local chiropractor trying to build my business." No,
Right.
that's the wrong way to approach them. I would go up and say, "You know what? Your talk was incredible today. Any chance I could take you to lunch or buy you coffee? And I just want to know how you built your business or how you got so involved in the community or how you became so successful. I just want to hear more."
You were asking questions.
Yeah, I was asking questions. And
Person to person, I'm asking you questions and I'm trying to learn about you, your business, and possibly how I can help send people to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and and almost all of them within a day or two I was having coffee with. It was usually coffee. And they loved it. And one of them, for example, was a local politician, tax assessor, I think, or something like that. My gosh, over the years, how many people did she refer to the clinic? Not
A
besides
lot.
just her own family. It was like somebody had turned the fire hose on. I mean, she even introduced me to people like the governor of the state, and
Yeah.
it was crazy. It just opened all kinds of doors up. Then the other thing is, I just found other places to get involved in. So I'd always been a big proponent of Boys and Girls Club. That's a long story. I won't tell you why, but it doesn't matter. It's a good story. And so I noticed in the paper one day that they were having an auction. And so I went to the auction. My wife and I went to the auction and I found out who the president was. My wife actually knew him. They'd gone to high school together. And I went up and introduced myself and said, "Hey, can I help? Can I volunteer to do anything?" Next thing I know, I'm not even a member of the board, and I'm one of the hawkers at the auction. If you know what a hawker is, that's the person that walks around and sees who's helping bid. So I'm actually working the room all of a sudden. Well, all kinds of people, I got to know all kinds of people just that night. And within a couple of weeks, I was invited to be on the board
Yeah.
and eventually became president. Highly visible position.
Yeah, and keep in mind events like that that are trying to raise money and need volunteers and things, that's an excellent place to be because most of the time, the people in your community that are showing up to that are the people who, one, and can afford to be there. And so
Right.
it's great visibility for other business owners because that's ultimately a lot of the times who's there.
Right. Exactly. Who were the other influencers? Well, we were relatively small town, small-ish.
Mm.
Pastors are also influencers.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I got to know a lot of the pastors in town. How? I would go to their churches. My praise band played on Saturday night. So guess what? Sunday, we went to another church a lot of times. And afterwards, I'd go up and introduce myself to the pastor, say, "Great sermon,"
Mhm.
even if it was just kidding, just kidding. And I would get to know them. And then eventually, a lot of them were inviting me back to do speaking engagements to their congregations.
Yeah.
So it was just another way. And then this one was just kind of happenstance. This is not because of anything I did other than I asked a question. The athletic director for the community college moved in 2 doors down from me. And I was out in the yard one night, saw him, walked down there, introduced myself. I didn't say who I was. I
Yeah.
just said, "Hi, I'm your neighbor, Michael." And we got to talking. "Oh, you're the athletic director. Interesting. Well, I'm in healthcare. Who does your team physician work?" "Oh, we don't have one." "Why don't you come to my office tomorrow and let's chat?" And I became the team physician I was the team physician for like 10 years or something
Or longer.
or longer.
But it's close to that.
So now I'm at all the sporting events for the college and I'm sitting on the bench and everybody in the community that goes, which was everybody, sees me. I'm just creating more and more visibility all the time.
Yeah.
So I could go on and on about this, but it's just those little things that you do to open doors. And it, it's not talking so much about what you do. I'll be honest, I hardly ever talked about what I do.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure some people knew I was a chiropractor. They
Mhm.
just knew I was a doctor.
Yeah, I agree.
And but they would send me patients. And I can't remember, honestly, the last time that we actually did any kind of advertising because everything was word of mouth referral.
Yeah, I would say we were 95% probably referral based. I mean, it was pretty high. In reality, most businesses are 65% or more referral based. So that gives you a benchmark to understand where a lot of your patients are coming from
Right.
and pay attention to those things and watch for, that's the backside of networking. Watch for where they're coming from and make sure you're thanking those people, those businesses, whoever's referring those patients into your practice.
You bring up a really good benchmark. So if I was you listening, I would go back into my practice and kind of dig around a little bit and try to figure out how much of your practice is referral based.
Yeah.
If it's under the number you just said, the 65%, you probably want to dig in and find out why.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Are we having to advertise a lot? And if you're having to advertise a lot, now you're concerned about what your ROI is on the money you're spending. And you don't spend any money hardly to network.
Yeah.
You got to buy a lunch once in a while, or you might have to pay an annual membership fee to something. But I'm telling you, 85% of it's free.
Isn't that amazing? And what a great thing for your practice is to just get involved in some things
Yeah,
and be seen, be heard. It's not as hard as you sometimes want to make it, right? Networking
right.
in general, just that word can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't
have to
have to
be.
be.
And I think it gets intimidating because too many times we want to do it the wrong way.
Mhm.
We want to go in, we want to be the chiropractor
Yeah.
And we want to tell everybody about everything we learned all the way through chiropractic school. And here's the difference between spondylolisthesis and spondylolysis. And I'm going to teach you how to spell them.
Woo.
And you know what? It's great you guys know that. But but from a patient point of view, they don't care.
Yeah.
They want to know how you can help people.
Yeah. And
So
so
when you're
that goes back to what do they have going on and asking those questions.
and asking questions, and you have to ask questions. So if you get a chance to go out and do a health talk, or you get a chance to do a little 10-minute talk at the Kiwanis Club over lunch, great, go do it. But don't talk so much about chiropractic. Talk about the conditions that you see in your practice. Talk about maybe your 3 favorite things to work on. Or this month, I for some reason I've seen a whole bunch of shoulder cases.
Mhm.
And here's what we do for shoulders. And a lot of you may be suffering from shoulder issues or know somebody that is. And our clinic is dedicated to helping people with shoulder issues as well as the traditional chiropractic things, neck, mid back, low back.
And if it's not
And
a
leave
big
it at that.
that you're talking to, open the floor up to them and ask them, what was the latest ache and pain that you had?
Yeah.
Share something with me. Tell me about what was going on. Y- You'd be amazed at how many people will do that because they want to talk about their aches and pains.
Right. Right. And if you can't get them to talk, here's one simple way to get them to talk. There is no normal pain. So if you're having pain, throw it out. What do you got?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so many ways to network. My goodness, right? I mean, it's just amazing how many ways that you have right in front of you that we uncovered today without spending a ton of money.
Absolutely. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It's really just going out, asking questions, putting your personality out there, being kind to people, being genuine, just a few follow-ups, especially in the professionals arena. And I don't just mean healthcare professionals, but if you're talking to business people, politicians, other healthcare providers, whoever, make sure you do some follow-ups. That means a lot to people because
Yeah.
it's really easy, number one, for you to fall off the radar screen. It's also really easy for them to find you disingenuine if you don't follow up.
And get their phone numbers. Have them put their phone number in your phone. Hand them your phone and say, "Hey, put your contact information so I can get a hold of you."
Yeah,
And let me do the same. Let's make sure we can engage another time if we can. Just make
that's a
sure that
good
you're
idea.
connecting somehow. Don't just rely on giving a business card. While that's a great tangible, and I would do that in addition, but I would most definitely say, "Hey, put your phone number in my phone. Let's connect sometime." It's a
You can also
different
do the
when you do that.
Yeah, you can also do the what's your email, and I'll send you a calendar invite. Let's have coffee on Friday.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you can still put that in your contacts.
Yep,
So, in your phone, use your technology to your benefit there and save those
absolutely.
names and numbers, and the nice part about if you open your contacts to a new contact and you let them put the information in, it's more likely to be correct as well. So, that's another big tip I would say is don't spell their name wrong
Mhm.
because you didn't know how to spell it. Give them the phone and say, "Hey, put your email in here, put your phone number, whatever, however you prefer to be contacted, and put your name up here, and I'll shoot you a calendar invite."
Absolutely. This is good stuff. And if you like the tips that we gave out today, please like and subscribe the podcast and tell everybody about it. Our audience is growing rapidly. Also, go to catsconsultants.com and check out all the things that we're doing to help doctors grow their practices and find real success in chiropractic business. We've got blog articles and all kinds of downloads and things on there. Just check us out. We do some very innovative things for doctors.
And don't forget, we like to network with you too. So we talk
Absolutely.
to people all the time that are not clients, but want to talk to us and just see if there's things that we can do to help their practice. So we do an absolutely free consult with you. We can chat. So we're a little bit different than others. So we take a lot of time in making sure you get the right fit for a coach. So spend some
Absolutely.
time, holler at us. Feel free to subscribe here or to follow us on social media as well.
Yep. Check out our weekly tips on social media.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, helping doctors keep their pulse on success. Our show is brought to you by Cats Consultants as well as Chiro Health USA. We want to thank both of our sponsors. So, all right, everybody. Go out there, be safe, be cool. We'll see you next time.
See ya. KC Chiropractic Consultants, your partner in chiropractic success, bringing you experience, dedication, and one-on-one guidance for all your practice management needs. Give us a call at KC Chiropractic Consultants and let's supercharge your practice today.